As Sarephine entered the quaint village of Fairbreeze, a sense of urgency quickened her steps. Her mission was critical: deliver the warning of an impending Amani troll invasion to Ranger Degolin. The Ranger had long held suspicions that Fairbreeze would be the focal point of the next threat, and Saraphine's message was bound to validate his wary foresight. Her heart raced, knowing that the village's calm would soon be replaced by the tension of preparedness. Determined, she approached the Ranger with purpose.
Ranger, I just came back from the Forest Rider retreat. I bear a very concerning news. Please have a look.
The information you have brought is of vital importance, Sarephine. Now that we know of the Troll's plans, we can prepare for an attack. We won't be caught with our guard down.
Yes, Ranger, we will be prepared. However, I have to go back to the retreat for unfinished business. I will be back, though.
Do what you have to do.
Sarephine soared through the skies, her heart set on reaching the serene city of Silvermoon. Using this shortcut would hasten her return to the Forest Rider retreat, though the final leg of the journey would have to be on foot. Yet her real concern was not the walk ahead but the enigmatic summons from Magister Duskwither. What urgent matter could the Magister have that required her specific presence, bypassing the capable residents of the retreat? Curious and slightly apprehensive, she made her way directly to the Magister upon arrival.
Mage, hear my request. For reasons that I cannot go into now, I decided to shut down my nearby school. A few days ago I sent one of my pupils, apprentice Laurel Thallis, there with this very task. I have not heard back from her since.
An unsettling feeling crept over Sarephine as she listened to the Magister's words. There was an air of mystery in Duskwither's tone, leaving her to wonder what details he might be withholding. Why was he being so vague? Despite her inner questioning, Sarephine carefully concealed her suspicions, choosing instead to focus on the task at hand.
That is concerning, Magister.
Will you go to Duskwither Spire and check in on her to make sure that she is well?
Of course, but I will need direction, Magister.
You'll find it by heading north on the path out of Forest Rider Retreat, then go to the right when the road branches.
On my way.
Stepping out of the retreat, Saraphine's thoughts lingered on the Magister's peculiar words. Rumors had reached her ears that hinted at a deeper mystery behind the school's closure, something beyond mere local politics. What truly transpired there? And why did the Magister seem burdened with a sense of shame, as if fleeing from an inconvenient truth? As she veered right along the familiar path, memories of a misadventure resurfaced. She once stumbled upon this route while searching for the Amani troll camp. It led her to unexpected places. In the distance, Sarephine spotted an elf who could only be Laura Thallis. Pausing momentarily, she considered that Laura Thallis might be more than just an apprentice. The Magister wouldn't send just anyone for a task steeped in secrecy. With resolve, she approached Laura Thallis.
The Magister was concerned for my well-being? How sweet. I wish that he had shown such an interest before, when we were at the Spire.
Lorathalis' words were laced with more than a hint of sarcasm. There was a thread of wounded loyalty woven into them. Sarephine sensed that the Duskwither Spire contained not only magical echoes but also simmering layers of emotion.
That doesn't matter now. Please listen carefully, mage, as I have a favor to ask for you.
Tell me, Lorathalis.
The Duskwither groundskeeper has gone missing. Someone must have forgotten to tell him to leave when the Magister and everyone else did.
He was left behind?
I know that he's still somewhere around here on the grounds, but I dare not go looking for him myself with all of these magical creatures roaming about.
I agree. It is not safe to go alone there.
Will you find him for me, mage?
I will.
And make sure that he's all right.
Indeed I will.
Did Sarephine feel something in Lorathalis' tone? It almost sounded like there was genuine concern, as if she truly cared about the missing groundskeeper. Was there a hint of fear of loss woven into her voice? As these thoughts swirled within Sarephine's mind, Lorathalis continued.
As you may know, Magister Duskwither sent me back here to shut down the power sources that feed the spire.
Yes, I am aware of that.
There are 3 of them, each located in a different place inside. Unfortunately, I appear to be too late, and Duskwither Spire has been overrun with strange, magical creatures.
Magical creatures, you say?
While I haven't the expertise to accomplish the task, surely a mage, such as yourself, could do so easily.
It is hard to say without knowing what lay ahead. But I will try.
Sarephine had no idea what she was running into, uncertainty brewing in her mind. She understood enough to know that shutting down the power sources wasn't merely a matter of safety. It was to prevent the spire from unraveling itself or corrupting the land around it. This was not a task of destruction, but rather one of mercy. Sarephine had already noticed that the spires were floating. While Lorathalis spoke, her mind had wandered to consider how she might reach the top. As she drew closer, she discovered a platform with some sort of mechanism. Could this be the solution? It turned out to be a teleportation device. However, she now stood face to face with the creatures the apprentice had mentioned, and to make matters worse, they were wretched. As Sarephine ascended the stairs, she realized that this place was not built for defense or warmth. It was meant to rise above the world below. Sholas like Duskwither chose to be untouched, isolated in their research and response chambers. Yet now, the magic still pulsed, though the will that once commanded it had long since faded. The central spire's ramp guided her to the core room, symbolic of the Cinderay way, always rising, always striving, even as the foundation threatened to crumble away. Sarephine stood there not merely as a visitor, but as a mage herself. A witness to the arrogance of her kind. So much power resided here, yet no voice remained to question its path. Standing before the crystal, Sarephine recalled her initial trainings. These crystals were crafted to regulate the ambient leyline flow, absorbing and rechanneling the raw energy that flowed through Eversong. The risk at hand was that, without a trained magister, the crystal might be channeling the energy into itself, creating a self-loop. It was amplifying the resonance, potentially causing arcane echoes. That yellow glow was a telltale sign of entropy. The crystal was breaking down. Turning off the crystal was not a mere flick of a switch. Sarephine reached into a wild current of forgotten power. As Sarephine headed to the next room, she noticed that the architecture narrowed slightly. Towers like this were constructed to channel energy vertically, with the upper layers possessing a higher density resonance than the lower levels. Both crystals were bound by 3 other crystals, an ancient Sindore arcane stabilization matrix known as the Tri-Core Harmonic Lock. These 3 small crystals served a critical purpose, channeling specific resonance frequencies, with the central one absorbing and redirecting the power, provided the stabilizers remained in sync. If left untuned, it caused a major out-of-phase imbalance. Sarephine was performing the magic euthanasia of a once perfect system. Two down, one to go. The tower felt a little emptier. As Sarephine was about to leave the room, she noticed a journal on a table beside the door. It seemed to be an investigative journal left behind by Magister Duskwither. A brief scan of its contents revealed shocking attempts at filtering corrupted magical flows, shedding light on what transpired at Duskwither Spire. This journal was crucial. The Magister would need it returned to him. Sarephine understood now that this tower was never a school. It was a containment site. An arcane filtration experiment had gone completely wrong. Sarephine speculated that the Magister attempted to refine energy possibly corrupted by the Scourge. The filtering failed, and rather than facing the Arcane Council, he quietly shut down the school. Sarephine walked toward the last crystal, which now stood as the only essence of the spire. After shutting down, the spire felt quiet, as if it held its breath still. Sarephine teleported down to the ground platform, her work in the spire complete, though she carried a whisper from within. She had not seen any elves while inside. Willithan might not be there. He could be hidden somewhere else, possibly on a small ledge or tucked away path. She hoped he was not injured and unable to move. Looking around, the path was teeming with mana serpents and ether fiends. These creatures were not natural. They were manifestations of arcane instability. The serpents were leyline energy fractured into sentient patterns, feeding on arcane residue. In contrast, ether fiends were much worse. Born from the collision of excess arcane energy and lack of will, they could be fragments of former constructs, failed enchantments, or shattered wards. Sarephine walked through a graveyard of magical missteps. Near the sea, in a garden, Sarephine found Willithan. He stood in the middle of a stone platform, surrounded by the serpents and fiends. Willithan was not lost, he had been left behind. He questioned Sarephine.
Who are you? You're not one of the Magister's apprentices, that's for certain.
Yes, I am not.
Sent here to help me clean up this mess, no doubt.
Willithan did not trust Sarephine immediately, and his words were more a cry for accountability than sarcasm. Even if everyone had left, he still believed in putting things right. He didn't walk away. In his own guarded way, he asked for help.
It's horrible, I tell you. Strange things happening in the Spire. The Magister and his apprentices run off. And then the next thing that you know, the whole grounds are overrun with these magical beasties. And who told Willithan? No one, that's who.
I am so sorry, Willithan. Magister shouldn't have done this.
You've got to help me clear some of these things out. I cannot maintain the grounds while these anomalies are running amok.
Sure, Willithan.
Sarephine now understood that the creatures were the aftermath of the abandoned magic. Willithan had stayed when the Magister ran, standing guard while the tower hummed itself into madness. Now, he simply wanted peace, and maybe a bit of dignity in the land he's sworn to tend. Helping him was an act of restoration, a gesture of respect, especially after her kind had left the mess behind. Sarephine noticed the tucking and dragging motion of the fiends. It was the pull from inside, trying to retreat into some source they no longer remembered. They were like fragments trying to reform. Sarephine had done what the Magister would not. She faced the aftermath and honored the silence it asked for. Willithan might not thank her with fanfare, but something in his posture would soften.
Well, I suppose that will have to do. Now won't it? Thanks for the help, mage. I can only hope to get this mess completely cleaned up before the Magister returns to Duskwither Spire.
I hope he returns.
Take this pocket change. It's not much, but it's all that I have at the moment. Feel free to dispatch a few more of the beasties on your way out if you'd be so kind.
Of course I will.
Sarephine felt Willithan. He lived inside failure, holding it together with scraped hands and silent grit. His coins touched Sarephine through the veil of racial pride. It was a gift from one who had nothing to give. As she walked back, the spire lay at rest.
I can't be certain from this distance. Have you already shut down the power to Duskwither Spire?
Yes, I did.
It was clear from Lorothalis that she never expected the spire to be shut down that cleanly.
I am grateful to you for your assistance, but saddened to hear that some of my fellow apprentices have fallen to their addiction.
It is extremely disappointing.
With the power to the spire cut off, I think I'll stay here a while and see if things calm down long enough for me to sneak in and retrieve their remains.
Be careful, though.
Sarephine thinks about the situation. Falling to the addiction is falling to the Cinderai's deepest flaw, dependency disguised as power.
Sarephine, I have one last favor to ask of you. Would you please relay what's transpired here to Magister Duskwither back at the Farstrider retreat? Let him know that I am well, but make certain that he is aware that some of the apprentices have become wretched.
I will.
Thank you for your help.
As Sarephine walks back to the Farstrider retreat, she thinks of the message Lorothalis wanted her to relay. It is a confrontation cloaked in kindness. In a way, she is asked to make him face the truth. That she escaped, but not everything was clean. His apprentices did not fall to enemies. They fell to addiction, abandonment, and arcane hunger, something Cinderai refused to name aloud.
No, I was too late. It is all my fault. My investigation into purifying alternative magical sources got out of hand before I could put a stop to it. If only I had gone myself, or that they had listened to me and heeded my warnings.
Sarephine listened calmly.
I have blood on my hands, mage. I thank you, though, for putting to rest the tortured souls of my former apprentices. It is some small consolation that they will not linger in that state where a blood elf is better off dead.
He realizes the cost of lives is the price of inaction, a lesson learned too late. Sarephine quietly hands over the journal.
What's this? It looks familiar. Oh no. This journal, my investigations, this is what caused all of this in the first place.
Sarephine already knew the truth. She stood silently.
Here it is, Sarephine, the proof of my crime. This journal contains all of my ill-conceived studies. I will burn this tome so that no one else falls prey to its contents. I only wanted to help the Cinderay. Heedless of the warnings, I continued my research until it was almost too late. Then, when I grasped my error, I did what I could. But by then, some of my pupils had already gone too far. I evacuated the spire to get them away from the corruption, but in my haste, forgot to shut down the power sources.
Sarephine watched silently as the Magister threw the book into the flames, watching it burn. The truth was no longer hidden, but it was not preserved either. The Magister did not plead for forgiveness. Instead, he acknowledged the damage, accepted it, and did the only thing left to do: destroy the tome. In doing so, he also incinerated his pride, obsession, and legacy. Sarephine did not walk away with a sense of triumph. She departed knowing that some truths are better left buried in fire, not to erase them but to signify their end.